Alex, are you there?
Yep, right here.
Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about Steve Bannon. But first, this Affordable Care Act story is really interesting. Republicans the last 8 years have done and said only one thing. They want to repeal it and replace it. How can they now pass legislation that will strengthen and add more money to the Affordable Care Act?
Well, repeal and replace has become repeal and rescue. Republicans are looking at a deal with Democrats that's going to extend the subsidy payments for Obamacare and keep it going for a couple of years with the blessing of President Trump. So right now, most Trump voters don't really care that much about taking health care away from poor people. That's something that Republicans and Democrats want to figure out a way to do. But the bigger picture, repealing Obamacare overall, is dead in the water. Republicans still haven't figured out a way to do that, and neither has President Trump.
But they found a way to strengthen it, which is the exact opposite of what they ran on.
You would have thought that the party that rescued Obamacare would be the Democrats, and it turns out that it's the Republican establishment in Washington, which is one reason Steve Bannon is out there forming almost a third party. He is the fighting force of the Trump voters across America, trying to pressure these Republican senators to remember why they were sent to Washington, to vote for change, to make Washington smaller and less powerful. And he's putting the heat on Washington, but Republicans are going across the aisle to work with Democrats on it, not getting anything done on their own.
There's a whole lot of huffing and puffing by Steve Bannon. How much power does he actually have?
Well, he is being effective in Washington. You know, you saw Mitch McConnell stand next to President Trump 2 days ago at this lovey-dovey love fest in the White House where they both declared their love for each other. Right. And John McCain has said, you know what, I'm going to support the budget resolution this week, the first step toward tax reform. So Bannon is putting the heat on Washington, and Washington is feeling it. The question is, he's also dividing the Republican Party in some of these key Senate races. And Republicans, if they lose a seat or two in Nevada, in Arizona, the slim majority they've had, they haven't even been able to do anything with that. What if they lose a couple of seats more?
What about Roy Moore? There are polls saying that this is now a dead heat. Do you believe those polls, and what are you hearing about the Alabama Senate race?
Those polls are a little overly optimistic for Democrats, but still, it's a shocker that in deep red Alabama, the Senate race is tied. The Bannon candidate is not able to put together a larger coalition of voters, and that's a shocker. Who's rooting for Steve Bannon's success this morning in Washington? Democrats.
Because if Roy, well, I mean, it's interesting. This is if Roy Moore wins, that puts energy into Steve Bannon. If the Democrat wins, doesn't that sort of destroy Steve Bannon?
You would think, but what usually happens is the Bannon forces, if they lose with a Bannon candidate, with an extreme candidate, what they usually say is, well, we lost because the establishment didn't support us. You know, the Mitch McConnells of the world, the regular Republicans in Washington, blame the conservatives when they don't win. We're going to blame Mitch McConnell and those other Republicans. They don't support us like we support them.
Alex, does this Affordable Care Act fix get passed?
No, they don't have the support. At the end of the day, Democrats don't want to give Donald Trump a success. There are a lot of Republicans who don't want to rescue Obamacare, so they're going to have a lot of meetings and they're going to have a lot of press conferences about how they're going to do this, but they don't have the votes to rescue Obamacare.
Alex Castellanos, who is the Trump whisperer, he explains it all to us so that we can understand it. Alex, have a good week. Thanks for checking in.
Good to be with you.